And that's why NDP leader Thomas Mulcair is here, because we are now going to find out what the federal government should be doing about the Leafs. We're not hearing a lot from Ottawa about that. Of course, we're more concerned about the Senators.
They do have the Senators. Yeah. Of course, from Montreal, we have the Canadiens. So.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, now let's get into the more serious topics of what we're talking about. By the way, you're in town. You're going to be doing what? We're
going to be at a child care center here in downtown Toronto, reminding people that for the NDP, it's a top priority to help the middle class. Mr. Harper seems to have a plan to help the rich get richer. We want to help the middle class, and so we're going to bring in national child care plan, $15 a day, a million spaces across Canada.
Let's get into some even more serious topics, and that's what's going on with ISIL right now. And we're learning today that our soldiers, who we were told are not supposed to be in any firefights, actually got into a firefight with ISIL in Iraq last week.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Harper has not been telling Canadians the truth, and it took us quite a while to find out the details of this one. Last September, when this was being discussed in the House of Commons, I asked Mr. Harper several times, are our soldiers going to be involved in combat? Clear answer, absolutely not. Now they're trying to play word games, and frankly, the lives of our soldiers are worth more than simple word games. You can't say, well, they're fighting, but it's not combat.
Should we step up to the plate a little bit more?
I don't think so. I think that we should have been helping with the 1.5 million refugees out of Syria. NATO ally, Turkey, has been helping us to do that. Nobody in Iraq, when my friend and colleague Paul Dewar went there, was asking for us to get involved in the fight. Everything that's happening now, and there are horrors happening now, is a direct result of the last misguided war that George W. Bush started.
Now, let's talk a little bit about budget. I know here in Toronto, our budget talks start today.
Yes.
And we're going into the federal budget as well. So,
well, it's a bit of a peekaboo budget. They keep changing the date on us. We're not too sure.
Yeah. And give me your thoughts right now as we're
governing is about priorities, and over the past 30 years under successive Liberal and Conservative governments, families have taken a hit. Their revenues are actually lower. 85% of people are earning less today in constant dollar terms than what they did before. Only the top 15% have seen their revenues increase, and those are the people that Mr. Harper wants to give billions of dollars to. So we're saying, instead of taking money from the middle class to give it to the richest few, why not help the middle class?
Coming into an election next year, this year. What year are we in? 2015 now. That's right. It just turned a couple of weeks ago.
October 19th.
Yeah, so we were coming into an election in 2015, this year. I gotta say, and I'm gonna pose this question, should Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Harper drop by when they're in town as well.
Make sure you bring them in at 6 o'clock like we did.
Oh, are we complaining? Are we complaining, Thomas?
Actually, I'm always up at this hour.
People are getting tired of elections because it just seems like it's always the same old, same old, same old.
Yep.
We have become disenfranchised. In fact, that is a lot of what people are talking about. In fact, why a lot of young people seem to be siding with groups such as ISIL. We're becoming disenfranchised with our politicians. What do we do? What can you do to better our lot in life with our politicians?
40% of Canadians stayed home in the last election.
That was just
to stay
despicable.
With the young people. 65% of young people aged 18 to 25 didn't vote. And all the decisions being taken today are going to stay with them the rest of their lives. So they should be concentrating on it.
So what do we do?
Well, this time around, for the first time, there's going to be a real choice, because forever and ever we've been told it was Liberals or Conservatives, Conservatives or Liberals. This time there's going to be a three-way race. People know the NDP, they know our track record, they know what we stand for. When we see Mr. Harper cutting health care, we're saying, whoa, 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 that's important for Canadians, don't cut that. So we want to get back to some of the priorities that we've always talked about, and that's where we come in.
But is that doable? Is it doable? We just saw Mayor John Tory go back on a campaign promise not to raise transit fares, but he said there was no way around it. Politicians are always making promises and then coming back later, so, oh, you know what, it really wasn't realistic. Is it realistic?
I've actually done this before. The advantage of having been at this for 35 years, which is my case, is I've actually got a track record that people can refer to. When I was a minister around the cabinet table, I knew about taking tough decisions, but I also know about setting priorities. So when we set out a certain number of things that we're going to do, it's because we're going to do them.
Yeah, I guess we're always angry at our politicians. We almost want them to fail, and yet we should all be wanting everybody to be so successful.
I think that there's a kernel of real truth in what you just said, in the sense that people are getting cynical. They're just saying, oh, it's not going to change anything. But I do think that this is real change.
It's our government. They're representing us. We want them to succeed, because when they succeed, we succeed. So, all right, get out there, spread the message, spread your message. We're offering as well, Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Harper, whenever they're in town, to stop by, just have a morning chat, and we'll bring them in at 6 a.m. and do something about those Leafs. We're going to take a break on Breakfast Television. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.